Pilots of the internet, I've been competing in a global paper airplane competition called Red Bull Paper Wings. And there's this whole qualification process to advance to the global finals, which will be in Austria in May. So if you win a local qualifier, you advance on to a national qualifier for your country. And if you win at the national qualifier, you advance on to the global finals. Now, that's for two categories, distance and airtime. And I was able to qualify actually in both distance and airtime to go to the national qualifier for the United States, but you have to choose to compete in one of those categories. And I chose to compete in distance. Well, unfortunately, I got fourth at the national finals, which means I did not advance to the global finals in the category of distance. But there is a third category that I haven't said much about, and that is aerobatics. And the qualification process is completely different. And I was selected as the U.S. representative for the global final in the category of aerobatics. So I am going to be flying to Austria and competing against people from all over the world to throw planes and put on this performance where I'm trying to make these planes do very, very cool things. And I could not be more excited to participate in this. This is honestly, I am not joking here, a bucket list item for me. So it's probably going to affect the posting schedule of this channel a bit as I prepare for the competition and then while I'm there, but I will of course try to keep you updated on my progress. And I'm going to do a live stream to give you a full recap when I get back, so you can even ask me questions about my experience there. With all that said, let's get into the video. Not only is Sentinel an awesome paper airplane, but it is also easy to fold. You can see it has these very cool wing angles in the back, a very atypical shape to it. And if you folded Arrowhead on this channel before, you'll be surprised to find that this is a very closely related plane. Much of the folding sequence is the same, but you end up at this very different shape. Now, I love this plane as it is, but I have designed a template for this plane, so if you support me on patreon.com/foldableflight, you can download and print off a template and fold a plane that looks like this, rather than using a regular sheet of paper. Not only is there a template for this plane on my Patreon, but there's a template for over 60 paper airplanes, and that's an ever-growing list, so be sure to head over there and check that out. Now, with all that said, let's see this plane in flight, and then I'll teach you how to fold it. You can see here I'm throwing it up into the wind and it's turning around and then it just flies for well over 100 feet. Some of these flights are probably 150, 200 feet. It's just such a good plane when it's got that slight breeze behind it. Now that's not to say that it doesn't fly well on its own, it does, but that is just the ideal scenario for this plane. And you can see you basically just pinch this plane, hold it like a taco, and you throw it up into the air, its wings unfurl as it's climbing, and then it reaches that peak, opens up, and it just glides so gently back to the ground. All you'll need in order to fold this paper airplane is a sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch paper, or A4 paper, and we're going to begin by folding it in half from the right edge to the left edge. As always, try to maintain your symmetry by lining your corners up really well here before placing your crease, like so, and then you can open your paper up. And now you're going to fold your top edge down either 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. And this is just an estimation, so if you don't want to measure, if you just want to kind of take your best guess at that measurement, that's going to be totally fine. And something like that is good to go. And we're going to flip the paper over again, and now fold this top edge here into the center crease. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. And your plane should look like that. Now we're going to fold this whole top triangle down, right along the bottom edge of those layers there. Land your point here on the center crease, just like so. And now fold your point here back up to the top and land it again on the center crease. Okay, and your plane should look like this. Now I'm going to flip the paper over and fold this edge here into the center. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And your plane should look like that. Now you'll notice that we have this pocket here on this layer behind the point of our plane. You've got that little pocket, and basically we want to stick the nose of the plane into that pocket. So we're going to bend this just like so, and kind of, I like to align the nose just off center, which helps me get it in under that layer on the layer behind, and then let it just kind of correct into that position. And you can see all those layers are nice and locked together now inside that pocket. And now I'm going to just rotate the paper into this orientation, and I'm going to make a crease that goes right from where the edge of this pocket is intersecting the center crease, and I'm going to pull all the way to that corner there. So I'm just pulling this layer, kind of allowing it to get trapped by the pocket right at the center crease, and all the way out to the edge just like that. Okay, and I'll do the same thing on the other side here. Just like so. Now I can go ahead and flip the paper over and fold these outer layers right along this top edge here, just kind of pulling them tightly to the body of the plane. I'll do that on both sides. Okay, and your plane should look like this. Now I want to mark the point where this edge right here is intersecting that layer behind it. You can see we have this other pocket on this side. That's my point right there. So I'm just going to mark that with a little crease. All right, like so. Or you could even use a pencil, which might be easier because, well, the crease will sometimes make creasing in the opposite direction a little bit hard. So since I have a pencil on hand, I'll go ahead and do it that way, but you could just mark this with a crease here. But you'll see now we're opening those layers up, and we're actually going to crease from the mark we just made, either with a crease or the pencil, to this corner here. And you'll see once I do that, I can then take this tab here, swing all of these layers in, and tuck that behind that center pocket. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and tuck that in behind. And we are almost done. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold this outer edge right here to my center crease. And that should be a crease that is perpendicular to this bottom edge. And you'll notice there's a thick layer right here that won't let you pull this quite all the way to the center crease, but just pull it as far as you can go. And then you can apply that crease, and it should be, again, perpendicular to the bottom edge because you're landing this portion of the bottom edge along that portion of the bottom edge. And once you do one side, just fold the other side to match. Just like so. And now we're going to fold little winglets on the outside of the plane. And I'm going to add a crease here that I don't want you to add. This is just going to be as an example. So don't even place this crease that I just made, because you can just estimate exactly how far you want to make your fins. But kind of the visual I want you to imagine is folding this edge here to this crease right here. So that's about the size of the fin you want. but anything similar to that is good. So when I do the other side, I'm just kind of book matching this here, folding my plane in half along the center crease, and I'll flip it over and fold this fin to be the same exact size as the other one. Okay, now here is a slight difference between the 8.5 by 11 version and the A4 version. So if you are doing the 8.5 by 11 version, you're using 8.5 by 11 paper, do perform this step. If you are not, if you're using A4 paper, don't perform this step. And I see the nose of my plane's gotten a little wrinkled, so just fix that there. So if you're using 8.5 by 11, fold this edge here to that crease. And we're looking from what's going to be the top side of our plane with the narrower leading edges here. This is going to create an up elevator on the back of the plane and help it fly better. Again, you will probably not need that with the A4 version of this plane. And then you're just folding your winglets into position, and we're ready to just set the wing angles of the plane. So this is the top side. You want your center crease to be a valley crease when looking from this perspective. And then you're going to kind of set these outer edges of the wings. Basically, the idea is you're going to be pinching the plane like this to throw it. And when it opens up, you want these outer sections of the wings to be level, straight across. So you'll have some dihedral in the center there. These should be level. And then you want these fins to be perpendicular to these outer edges of the wings. And again, you may need some up elevator with the 8.5 by 11 version. That's why we made those creases. You can adjust these, pulling it up like that to increase the up elevator if it's diving down, or you can adjust it exactly as you need it. Now, something that is important to know is how to adjust this plane as opposed to other planes. It may have a tendency to roll in one direction or the other. And there are two main ways you can adjust that. You're not really going to do aileron adjustments on this. Basically, if it is rolling counterclockwise here, you want to bend this wing just a little farther. And if it's rolling in the opposite direction, you would bend this wing a little farther. And they may not look perfectly symmetrical, but you're basing that on the performance of the plane. The other thing you can do to help counter a roll is if it's rolling clockwise, you can bend this fin on the left side to the left, and that will help pull against that tendency. And of course, if it's rolling in the opposite direction, you can do the opposite. So with all that said, thank you so much for folding this plane, and good luck flying.